Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Shift Mastermind series. Today is strategy tactic number 5, how to convert your leads. And so I'm so excited that today we have Joel Stieber and Colin Clancy as our panelists. And because this is a mastermind, I encourage you to participate as well. So welcome, Joel and Colin, to today, and thank you so much for agreeing to talk about what you're doing with your business and how you're converting your leads and you're getting them to the table. So Colin, let's go ahead and start with you. Is there anything that you have noticed that's different during this time period and how you're approaching your business?
In terms of converting leads?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. No, I
No?
have a lot of buyers that are just more energized, right? So as Joel was saying, we're all going through this at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Levels the playing field. Well, from a buyer's perspective, when you've written multiple offers and keep getting beat, and now you have this disruption, I find my clients are like, let's go. Like they're doubling down on activity. And of course, now they're at home, so they're surfing the internet. Oh, look at this house.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm finding that, it's almost accelerating, and everyone's they're trying to take advantage of this time, not in a bad way, not in a, evil kind of way, but just kind of, hey, let's beat the competition out because we're still committed and we want to get an investment.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So are you finding that right now your clients are mostly investors, or are they families looking for a new home?
Yeah, families trying to
Mm-hmm.
move up. So I've got a couple of first-time home buyers, and they're like excited and freaked out at the same time, right? Right,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a big, scary first-time spend, and then also families that are looking to leverage into a better school district, right, to get into Pioneer High School, and
Mm-hmm.
they have a house to sell, right? So they're also looking at it as, hey, when we get into contracts and we close this, and fortunately they can close without having to sell their house. But then the next question is, can we sell our house, right? And
Right,
how's that
right.
going to affect our house? But they're thinking, hey, if it softens the market up and makes an opportunity available for them to move up, even if their house sells for a little less than what we projected, then maybe the house they bought is probably going to sell for a little less than they projected, or at least they get the opportunity that maybe wasn't there otherwise.
It sounds like what you're doing with your clients is that you are you're it sounds, right now during this time period, there's a lot of agents whose clients have pulled back, right? So definitely there's something that you're doing in regards to mindset and how you're talking to your clients and how you're approaching them and educating them through the process and through this market of the moment. Would you agree that you're addressing mindset on this?
Yeah. One of the strengths of my business is, or my personality, is communicating details and information. So I've been on almost every one of the morning check-in calls, and I've been at every sales meeting since we did it virtually, which is, it's great. Like, I can't always get into the office, so I'm actually getting more sales meeting time and more information. And then I'm just turning around and summarizing that and kind of characterizing that in a straightforward, here's the facts, but
Mm-hmm.
not the sky is falling, gloom and doom kind of scenario. Hey, that this is just what we're seeing. And then, it helps to see, since I've been searching for homes and calling other agents and, investigating properties of interest, I've found that there are properties that get multiple offers and they're getting 5-6% over lists. I've also found properties that had a deadline that didn't have any offers come in, and they're pinched and they're available for 5% under list. And
Mm.
so I've been communicating to my clients that, hey, there's disruption and there's opportunity, and you just have to kind of take it case by case and find out where's your opportunity and just keep looking.
I love it. I love it. It's all about connection, and you're connecting with your clients and with other agents. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And I agree with you. Our morning check-ins with Mark have been really, informative and very helpful in guiding the conversation. So Joel, I want to know about you now. You have how many escrows going on right now?
Got 4 deals in escrow right now, 2 listings and then 2 buyers. And they've been a little challenging. There's been renegotiating going between buyers and sellers. With my listings, I've seen them sell for list price and a little below list price. So I think what Colin's saying is right. There's deals to be had right now for your buyers. However, I think there's some areas that are still getting activity. The hotter areas are still going to remain hot. If they're priced right, they're going to sell.
Mm.
I think there's motivated buyers out there. There's just less of them.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, one of the buyers in one of my listings, she just sold her house, and she has to find a place to live. So it's a necessity still to buy a house, and that's never going to go away.
Right.
So there are active buyers out there. If your house is priced right and it's desirable, it's going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I did want to say too that I'm very happy to be at Keller Williams at a time like this. I think we have very good systems in place for a shift in market where other businesses are not having that. Redfin, Zillow, you've seen all these layoffs. I feel bad for those people, but fortunate to be at a place like this that anticipates this type of shift. So we have a lot of great tools for everyone in our industry here to come join us. So it's great.
That's awesome that you say
Yep.
that because, Gary Keller, he wrote the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right? And that's like our Bible, for lack of a better word, our Bible for Keller Williams. And it's all about how to do how to use the systems and the tools. And then the Shift book, which we're masterminding on now, is actually part 2 to The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right? It's how to continue your business at a successful level, and then also how to approach when things are disrupted, right? When the market of the moment is disrupted. And so, yes, Keller Williams, a leader in the industry, we're number 1. And, in our office, we're a leader as well. And I think that, Mark and Brian, the way that they've been updating us every single day has really showed their leadership. So I love that you're stepping into your leadership role as well, Joel. So, what are you doing with your clients to help keep them motivated and to shift their mindset so that they're not freaked out?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Right now, if you have a business plan, how many people have a business plan that's did anyone take that business planning class last year? You can blow that up because it's not, it's totally different now.
All right, maybe we need to do a business planning.
Plan,
it's
right?
different, but I think it's a good thing if you are new. I reiterated this. We're on the same playing field right now as every agent. You may not have the same database, but you're on the same playing field trying to figure this out. You got to show a property that's safe. When this guideline is lifted, this shelter in place, things are not going to change much. I think people are going to stay their distance, and restaurants are going to have a hard time getting people in there still. It's gonna be an effect, and you're gonna have to find a way to safely show a property and market it. So if you can find a way to do YouTube videos, Skypes, Zoom meetings are great. I think this can become the new norm. I think people are gonna like doing this, and they're gonna continue to do it after this, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can have an edge and build your brand and learn how to do this faster than the next agent, you're gonna have an advantage in this market right now. So hone your craft. You have a lot of time to do that right now, a lot of time to do that. If you said that you're going to do this, if I have time, and you haven't done it in this shelter, you're never going to do it.
Yeah, that's so true, right? Because we have the time right now to focus on our business and focus on what it is that we want to create. So if what we want to create is a successful business, then doing all the tasks that we need to do, that's what we should be focusing on, right? And the 2 things that we as agents are within our ability to do, and is really our job, is lead generation and lead conversion. And so you two especially have been really powerful on those two things. And I love that you're still continuing to do it during this shelter in place. So what have you been doing to get people, you're doing your lead generation calls, your prospecting calls, right? You're going out to reach your database. Now, what are you doing to get the people to the table?
You mean to actually write an offer, right?
Or to actually say, yes, I'm ready I'm ready, and I'm willing to continue looking for a home, right? So, and then to write an offer.
Okay. Joel, you want to field that?
Sure. I think the most important thing before this ever started, to reiterate the number 5 shift, is appointments and lead generation, right? But I think appointments are the most important thing for my business. Okay. If I can get a buyer or seller to an appointment, I would say 80% of an 80% conversion rate to sell them the house. Okay. So that's very, very high. Now it's very tough to get someone to spend an hour with you out of their time. So that doesn't always work. So appointments to me are the biggest thing. That's why you're in business. You got to get that appointment. And it's all about having good conversations with people. So a good conversation with someone you met at an open house, or good conversations that you're having with buyers that you may have information from, which is called a lead, right? You're not trying to sell them at first. You want to build rapport, and you want to give them good information. Once you give them good information, they're going to feel comfortable with you and trust you, and then they're going to want to have an appointment with you. Right now, it's very tough to do an appointment unless you're doing Zoom meetings or these virtual tours, right? So again, hone this craft. I think this is going to become the new norm. It's going to save a lot of people time and money doing virtual tours and meetings. People are going to be more open to them, right? This is going to be a big point, I think, moving forward, is doing this, is continuing to communicate through video. And people are going to get so used to this that it's really going to become the new norm. They're not going to want to go back to it. We're seeing, I watched yesterday, Gene Rivers had a Zoom meeting for about an hour, and he reiterated this. And I don't know if you know who that is, but he's a very good listing agent in Tallahassee, Florida. KW faculty. I would highly recommend taking this class if you're ever able to do that. But he talked about buyer pipeline and a virtual open house. Your buyer pipeline right now is being pushed out. A lot of buyers, sellers, your buyer pipeline, they said, oh, we're going to buy in April. We're going to sell in April. Now that's changed, right? Most of them said, oh, I'm backing out of that. Well, I'm unsure. And then some people are actually moving forward. So all these people are saying they're going to buy and sell, they're being pushed out. They're still going to do it, but it's being pushed out. So that need, that necessity to buy and sell is going to be there. You just got to be able to communicate with them. Find your buyer's pipeline, find where they want to buy, find when they want to sell. Have these communication with them. Virtual open houses, be heavy on the videos, your Matterports. You can take a video with your phone. These are going to be big, right? Selling your property, selling a buyer, if they can't see it with all these new regulations happening. Yeah, it's gonna be a big impact. If you can show that there's movement in the market and homes are selling, and then show the seller that it's a safe way to sell it, you're going to be very successful moving forward. Do a YouTube video. Show them how it's done.
It sounds like you're really using this time to embrace the technology of virtual tours and Zoom meetings with your sellers. And so do you find that when you're in, when you're doing a virtual meeting, that you're still able to connect? And in your connection with your clients, we're talking about communication, but really what it is like connecting, right? So how are you connecting? Typically we talk about Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and I don't even remember what the D was. Does anyone remember that?
What is it? Family, occupation,
dreams.
Dreams.
Yeah. How could I forget dreams? So yeah. So are you doing any of that? Or I have some connection questions from the book that I'm happy to post in the chat. But I know that both of you have been saying, communication.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to sell people at first. You're all about investigating, understanding their situation and care. That's probably changed by now. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So listen to people, listen to what they got to say, and they will tell you. Have a meaningful conversation with them. Absolutely.
I agree with Joel. So I haven't had any Zoom meetings with any clients. Most of the time when I have a lead, we are either, I'm going to their house to sit at the table and check out the house, right? Seller lead. If it's a buyer lead, I'm either meeting them at a coffee shop, or we might just go right to seeing properties. And that might be the first time I actually meet them in person. But just, before we get to that point, we have probably an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of phone conversations. I haven't shifted into doing Zoom conversations because I've just always done phone in the past. And yes, the connecting on a, like a personal level is one of the things I strive for during that time, just so that I know them more as a person, find out, do you have kids? Do you care about schools? I'm interested in knowing whether they care about schools from a search perspective, but I'm also interested in knowing, do you have kids? Like, is that something that's part of your, your life and your family? Are you available in the mornings because you're, tied up with kids in the afternoon? It's kind of just all those things you just kind of need to know.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, we've got a great group of people here. Does anybody want to, chime in on what they're doing right now with connecting with their clients? Mark?
So I really try to treat all my clients as if they're like my new friends, right? Because I'm establishing this lifelong relationship, right? So I want to know them as, someone that's completely new. And I don't really look at them as leads, really. I look at them as new friends and, potentially clients. And sometimes maybe they don't end up buying because it's not right, or they're not qualified, or they have these expectations of the white picket fence, but they have the budget of the, South San Jose condo.
Right.
And so there's a disconnect between what their dreams are and what their finances are. But they might be ready for the white picket fence in a year or two. And so I just assume that we're just going to be friends, and I'm going to start mailing my postcards and dripping on them with my campaigns until they're ready.
That's awesome, Colin. Yeah. And, those of you who know me, that I always say that real estate is about relationships until it's about real estate. And I think that especially right now during this time period, it really is about the relationships. So the prospecting calls that we're doing right now is all about connection, and it's all about caring and letting them know that you're there and nurturing the relationship. Because if you have this relationship, like Colin, you just said, and Joel, I know that's how you're doing your business. If you nurture this relationship, then it's a very natural step when they're ready to do real estate that they contact you. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I called a couple of my clients just this week, right? And both of them expressed concern over me.
Isn't that sweet?
I was like,
See?
I'm calling to just check in on them and see, are you guys working from home? Is everything cool? And they were like, what's your business like during this? It's got to be crazy. Like, how can you sell houses under these conditions?
Yeah, I love it, right? Because that shows that they have a real, true relationship with you. That's great, Colin. So, Sophie, I saw that you had your hand raised. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I was just going to share that I had my first Zoom meeting with a lead, buyer lead. It was incredible. I did it with Gary Keller, which is my mentor. And yeah, they were our lead from home.com. And just like what Colin said, hop on the call with them. And for about an hour or so, and then just follow up. And yesterday was the first Zoom meeting with them. And with Kat's help, we got the buyer consultation from Command. And I only did 2 pages out of 18 pages. I utilized that as a follow-up email for them to fill up rather than taking the time on Zoom. But it was really incredible. It was very different, but it was really amazing.
Yeah,
so we're on the next step already.
That's so awesome, Sophie. Thank you for sharing that. That's great, and congratulations. So, Therese, I saw that you had entered something in the chat. What did you have to say?
Yeah, I see what she said. She says, handle all transactions in the same professional manner, whether it's a mobile home or a $5 million gem. So that's exactly, so as I was becoming an agent and going through all these courses, you know, the Ignite courses, I went and listened to Doug a number of times. And so I've actually structured a lot of my business around the pieces I picked up from Greg, but also Doug as well. So I've always had that same approach. I treat everyone as if they're the most valuable client and lead. And I actually had a lead that was like a mobile home lead, right? And they ended up not buying the mobile home, which I found them an off-market brand new mobile home. So they're like, oh my gosh, how could you do that? Like it was really kind of rare to actually find that. Anyway, they ended up not buying that. They bought a $900,000 condo in Belmont, and I earned the family's business. So the mom bought the condo for the daughter, and the mom has a $5 million house in Palo Alto. So like,
That's awesome.
you just have to.
I was reading your mind, Colin.
To Theresa's point, I mean, you just have to treat everything like it's connected to the next best thing. And you never know who knows who and who's going to introduce you to the next big thing.
Right, and that's the value of working your database, right? By building your business through your relationships. So, Jenna, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of say that I'm really fortunate because I've had Joel as my mentor, so he's been like kind of guiding me through this. And I'm a brand new agent, and so I feel like this experience has actually kind of been like revitalizing for me in a way, just because I felt like I was reaching out to my sphere all the time saying like, hey, I'm in real estate now. And I kind of got to a point where I was like, now what do I do? They all know I'm in real estate. And so this has been a great opportunity for me to kind of reach out to everybody again and kind of build more on that relationship with people. And I don't know, I'm excited and optimistic. I think it'll like lead to something good for me. So
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Jenna. And, you know, I could tell you're excited, and the enthusiasm, I'm sure, transfers over to your conversations with your database.
thanks.
Mm-hmm. Therese, did you want to say something? No? Okay. All right. So, all right. So, Joel, now that you have a, you know, now that you're like, you know, connecting with your database and, you know, you're helping your clients, your sellers and your buyers, you know, what other tips do you have to share with us of what you're doing? And is there any particular step, like you said, you had read the chapter. So was there anything there that really resonated with you?
Yeah, I am all about the appointments right now, and they're challenging to do. But I'm, telling my mentees they should be reaching out to their database right now. Everyone is at home; they are not working so much, and they're bored, and they want to talk to someone. So talk to them. Just talk to them about life. Talk to them about how they're doing, how's work, right? And then it naturally transitions into oh, how are you doing? How's your work doing? There's compassion there, right? And they're going to remember that. And they may not want to buy or sell at this point, but you're planting a seed for later down the road. It's all about planting seeds. A big buyer success story. I've been dealing with this buyer for over 3 years, and we're in contract right now. And it finally sprouted.
That's awesome. 3 years of follow-up.
3 years of following up. I got him in contract. So that being persistent, I think, is huge. Don't give up on a lead. I believe it's called cultivation in chapter 5, where they won't want to book an appointment with you, but they will listen to you. So if those people that are in your database that you give up on and you find out later, like a year later, they buy a house from someone else, like, damn, I should have followed up with them. And yeah, you should have.
Right.
I'm sure it happened to everyone.
Right.
Um, right? It's
Exactly.
called
Right.
cultivation. So
Right.
put these people on a database and find a way to connect with them.
Yeah,
So they know that
especially
you're still
now.
there, right?
Right.
Especially now, while things are weird, right?
Yep.
Because if you're the calm voice now with stats and information, that's going to help cultivate them down the road.
Yep.
I love it. If you're the calm voice with
Yeah.
stats and information, right? That's very key because, keeping that calmness adds to your professionalism and to your level of confidence. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. I
So
love
I
it.
want to add on that too. So this chapter is all about leads and appointments. The leads are in three ways, right? So if you get a lead, all they want is information. Number one. Number two is they want service, and number three they want the transaction. And
Hmm.
so you should be focusing more on number one and two, which is the information and the service. And then the appointment comes, and there's two things about an appointment when you have it, whether it's virtual or in person. And it's all about knowing what to say, the scripts, right? Those are very important. So sharpen up on those. Scripts are absolutely something that's vital in your business. And
That's
number two is
awesome you saying scripts, right? Because a lot of
scripts.
people are naturally averse to wanting to do a script because they feel like it doesn't sound like them. So are you using KW scripts, like bold scripts, or are you using other scripts?
I don't like that either. I don't like reading other people's scripts. What I do with mine is I write down a lot of people's what they say. If I like what they're saying, I write it down, and then I take bits and pieces of it and then make it my own, right?
I,
And that's you know, that's going to be your scripts, and
mhm.
your scripts are internalized.
I love it. So what I'm going to do, I still have to figure out a start date on this, is we're going to do scripts practice, right? So that you learn the scripts, you practice the scripts, and then eventually you internalize them. So it sounds like that's what you've done. You've taken what you like to hear and you've practiced it so much that now you've just internalized them and now they're very comfortable for you.
Yeah, my scripts are going to be different than Colin's, and his are going to be different than mine, but they may be similar in some ways too. So everyone here is going to have a different way of doing it. It's a style, right?
Would you share what your script might be to try to get an appointment?
Right now, with
Like,
a buyer or seller.
well, let's just say whichever one you want to do, but whoever's motivated and that they really need to sell, but they're scared, but that it's something that they need to do.
They need to sell it. They need to
Yes.
sell the property. Okay, so you got to find their motivation first. So, right, so you got to ask them, why, Edith, why are you looking to sell right now?
Hmm.
What
I
would
lost
that
my
do for you?
job. I
You
lost
lost
my
your
job.
job?
Hmm.
So
I
it
was
sounds
like,
like you lost. Yeah. So it sounds to me like you lost your job here. I'm sorry about that. I really am. Is there what happens if you can't make your rental payment or your monthly mortgage?
well, I could probably do it for a few more months, but I don't want to ruin my credit score. And so I'm just scared that, I won't be getting the money back that I had put in.
Yeah. What would happen if the bank foreclosed on your property?
I'd have nowhere to go. I'd have nowhere to take my family.
You have nowhere to go. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm sorry to hear that. What if I told you if there is a way out of that where you can actually get out from underneath you and possibly make some money off doing it?
Well, that sounds great. I'm scared, but I'm willing to hear what you have to say.
Okay, what is your biggest fear right now if we were to sell your property for top dollar at this point?
That I wouldn't be able to find a replacement property.
Okay, are you thinking about renting or thinking about owning again?
I'd probably rent unless I could find something, downsize so that I know I'd be okay. But since I lost my job, I don't know if I'd qualify for a new loan.
Right.
So probably
Um,
renting.
yeah, renting. Yeah. So movers are considered essential right now. So it is happening. People are moving. Stagers are still able to move their stuff out. So I know that's a big fear for people right now. They don't know if they can actually move. But that is an essential business. So that's something that to take in consideration. Rentals are still happening. There's a lot of rentals available, and I could show you the way with that too. So why don't we do this? If you have some time, we can sit down and maybe do a Zoom meeting tomorrow on Saturday, if that works better for you.
You are awesome, Joel. Thank you for going through that role play. Right? Did you guys enjoy that role play or what? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Book the appointment. Try and get to the appointment, right? That's what you're trying to do the whole time. You're trying to convert him to another appointment where you can talk to him more, right?
That's great. Jenna, I see your hand is up.
Oh, sorry, I just forgot to put it down.
Oh, okay. Colin, do you have a particular script that you use?
Nope.
How do you do it? How do you get your clients to the table? Like, you know that they're motivated, but they're scared with what's going on in this market.
So I have a kind of like a bullet list of things that I want to communicate. So if someone's buying, let's just use that as an example. So I try to take the anxiety out of it, right? So I educate them on the whole process. Like these are the steps. We'll figure out your budget. We'll find out what you're looking for in terms of your preferences, single family home, condo, whatever it is. Then we will search. And then when we search, we'll pull disclosures and start, analyzing whether or not the house is actually the correct opportunity. Is it too much work? And then what I find is the more I educate them on the process, the less anxiety they feel about it. And so it becomes a little easier when I say, so did you read the disclosures? Because I already told them you're going to. Right. So it kind of like opened the door to these are the activities that we need to do. And as we get closer, then we, and they're asking, well, how much is the house worth? What should we write the offer for? And I just kind of keep pushing the ball forward by saying, hey, all right, once we've identified the property, then we'll check on the activity and we'll see whether or not there's any competition and what the opportunity is for writing above or below, or we'll just kind of keep pushing it that way.
I love it.
Almost like dragging them along, right? And I'll tell them things like, listen, you're going to find properties they're terrible. You hate them. And I want to hear that from you because I want to know what you don't like. And I just kind of like lay the foundation for them to mentally get to the house when they see the one they like. And I'll tell them, you'll suddenly be like, this is it. And that's when you're ready. Right. And so when they see that one, they're like, oh yeah, this is it. Do you think we could write an offer on it? Yeah. So you just kind of like keep pushing them towards the end result, which is, writing an offer and close of escrow. And
Right. Like you've taken the buyer consultation basically and made it an ongoing conversation with them, right? Like every time you meet with them, so at first you're kind of like, talking about it, the consultation, but it's just in a regular conversation. And then as you continue to meet with them, like you're still bringing parts of the process to their attention so that they feel comfortable knowing that they already anticipated that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I go, all the way through to the close of escrow, anticipating, there might be a delay for the appraisal. Then we'll ask for an extension. The other agent will, if we ask for a credit, they're going to say, if we ask for 10, they're going to say, how about 5? And so I just kind of keep pushing that forward and setting those expectations and giving them the information before it hits us, so that when it comes back as 5, they're already like, oh yeah, okay, well, that's why we asked for 10, because we wanted 5.
Right. Oh, I love it. That's great.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Already like letting them know what your negotiation skills are.
Yeah, when I first started though, I found that working with buyers, there was so much anxiety over it, right? And so as I would learn something, I would share it with them, partially because that was my way of making sure I knew it, right? And then when I shared it with them, they, it just lowered the anxiety level so much over time that I realized that that's just something I should continue to do. And then, of course, some people need more reassurance and explanation than others, right? Some people get to that aha moment much quicker than others.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Mark Miano, you have a question. Your hand is raised, or you have something to say.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to go back to your scenario when you were, on the phone with Joel,
Mm-hmm.
and what do we have as options for people that just lost their jobs, want to sell? How are they going to get a rental if they do sell and have equity?
Mm-hmm. Is that like what are you asking Joel to kind of address that, or are you bringing that up as that is a definitely something you want to consider?
Yeah, I'm just thinking when Joel moves to the appointment and gets to the Zoom, what opportunities do we have to offer them? You in your scenario said, hey, I was really scared. I don't know where I'm going to go. Well, what's going to change from the, standard operating procedures here? If somebody sells their house, how are they going to rent without a job?
I'm gonna postpone that to the appointment because I don't know the answers to all that, and I'll do a lot of research in between then. So see how I try to book the appointment, say I've got answers for you, but I more than likely don't have them right now. But I'm gonna research them. You always want to have the perception that you have the answer because it's out there. You can go find it. We have a lot of powerful tools to do that. A lot of people are scared and frightened right now, fearful of what the market's doing. It's our job to be the common voice and give them solutions. Show them that real estate is moving, because it is. People are buying and selling homes. Show them that. Show them the stats, and then show them how to move safely, right? And show them the best way to do that.
Okay, so that's what I was just trying to figure out, Joel, is how do we get them from point A to point B without a job? The good, cautiously optimistic approach, excellent. Reaching out, all of that stuff is good. But when it comes down to the nuts and bolts, they close escrow, where do they go?
Yeah, so I think Joel had said that he was, that he was going to research that and get back to them.
Yeah,
and,
right. But I mean, what are you going to research? Do we call a landlord? Is there a homeless shelter for them?
If they have equity in the house, maybe you put a significant amount, maybe pay the first 6 months and pay the first 8 months of the rent, and that will suffice. By that time, more than likely, they should have found a job by then.
Yeah, and of course, maybe they're moving to Ohio or some other part of the country, right? So it's not necessarily that they're selling to move somewhere here.
Well, even if they're moving to Ohio, what do they do to qualify for a rental? That's really the rub. The 6 months of prepaid rent, yeah, that's viable. Do we have a consortium of landlords that agree that they would accept that, or is it a shot in the dark? So I think it's important, if there is a place to go to research this and find out the what ifs. Joel, yeah, please share that, because we've been down this road before, especially as recently as '08, when I did hundreds literally of short sales. And there's, without a job, there's no place to go.
Right.
That's generally what you're going to find. Maybe you'll find one landlord that says, all right, I'm willing to go out on a limb with these guys for 6 months if they prepay it. But I don't even know, under landlord and tenant rights, we probably have to get a property manager in here. Is that even a viable approach? I just don't know.
Yeah.
Good up to the point where you've got to get them to move. That's going to be a big question, because in '08, people had jobs. They were just most of them were just upside down in their property. As you've seen the statistics, they only had like 660,000 people apply for unemployment. Now we're up to like 10 million.
Right.
So it's a whole different ball game, and I'm not sure what tool to grab out of the toolbox to get them to point B without a job. So
that's a really great question, Mark. And I think that, if there is anybody who has any information that they could share with the group, then that would be great. I think that Joel, just one second, Marilla. I think that Joel did a great job of, acting as the professional, right? Because as a realtor, nothing's really life or death. So if we don't know what the answer is, we go ahead and admit it. I don't have that information right now. Let me get back to you. So I think in that role play scenario, Joel displayed the professional realtor.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but that is a great question, Mark, and it requires really getting into specific information. And so, I don't know if you find out anything, or if anybody else here finds out anything, or if there's anybody here who has some information right now that might be a good answer. I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but I see that there's Jim and Andy in here. I don't know if you guys have anything that you might want to say. And Marella, did you want to say something, Marella?
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. No, I was just saying that because this will become such a common scenario right now, unfortunately, I saw the same number today, and that was mind-boggling, the 10 million. Everyone will have to adapt to survive this, including lenders, including landlords, including everyone, you guys. I mean, if this is going to be the new normal. So I'm saying that I think we don't have it happening yet, but some things are going to have to happen, and some flexibility will have to happen. That's my opinion.
Right. Everyone's got to be flexible.
That I think that everyone will have to come up with some scenario, some solution that may not be in place right now, right? To be a little more flexible. Right. And have special programs, just like they always adapt. They adapt with rates. They also will adapt with programs and other things. And my suggestion also is to invite a lender like Michael Houghton, for example. He's great. He's always up to date with everything that's happening, not just in his company, but in the marketplace. And I think he will probably have some inkling on what they're thinking ahead about this.
So there is a forbearance with lenders right now where you can postpone your mortgage. You have to pay it back, but they're going to postpone it. So that could help out with people losing their jobs. But it's going to be really interesting. I think it's not going to be like 2008. I didn't go through it, but I think there's a lot more equity in people's homes than in 2008. I think that our interest rates are a lot lower than 2008. We have our unemployment was very, very low before this, and our economy is doing very well. So there's a lot of indications that it won't be like 2008, but I think it's going to be more like 2001 during the 9/11 crisis. But I think this is going to be a lingering thing until we find some vaccine. If we do find a vaccine, we'll be partying like the end of World War II. Everyone's be out like, yes.
Or like Prince said, we'll party like it's 1999, right?
There you go.
That's not a joke.
Of course,
right?
Yeah. Colin?
Of course, there are a lot of different scenarios, right? So, like, I don't have anyone that's going to need to rent when they sell. So, I don't know what percentage of the people do need to rent after they sell a house. I mean, are they moving in with family? Are they moving to another home that they currently own? Every scenario is a little different, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, if someone has to rent and they just lost their job and they're trying to sell their house, that's something they'll have to figure it out.
Right. That's great. That's a great scenario. And there's lots of comments here in the group chat. So, there's things about moving out of state and talking to a lender, Forbes Property Management. They can call Ben, or you could call Ben, right, to see if there's anything that he might be able to help with, at least providing information. So these are all great tips. Moving on with chapter 5, is there anything else that you would like to share that you thought was really interesting, or, something that you really wanted to make sure that you brought today?
There's something I wanted to talk about real quick, and that was the quality of the lead, right? So I get between 10 to 15 leads a year, which I know, Jim Myrick's on the call. That's a very small number, right? It's very small. but mine are super well warm and qualified, and they're coming from trusted referral sources, partners, if you will, that lay the foundation for, hey, this is the guy you need to work with. And so as we're talking about leads and converting leads, having scripts and setting the appointments, those are certainly important things, but it becomes easier when the lead is warmer. Right? So one of the first things I realized in my first couple of years is that there's a lot of different ways to buy leads, from realtor.com and Zillow, and you can run the home value leads, and I can ramp up and run some leads and get probably 150 to 200 leads this month for $70, right? But they're the ones that you need to read the script to 10 times. They're the ones that you have to cultivate for long periods of times and trip on for a month or 2 months or 2 years or 5 years. And actually, when I set those systems up, I found I was overwhelmed with leads. And then I found I wasn't doing any justice to any of them because I had too many, and that's back to systems and processes, right? So, if you're going to build a funnel to have 100 leads come into it, you have to make sure you have the systems and processes in place to handle that. I set my business up a little differently. It's more of a word of mouth, sphere of influence, and business referral partners business. And so I might, if I get 10 leads a year, I might convert 9 of them, right?
Right, because they're nice, good, solid, warm leads. And so, talking about, you're definitely, you're cultivating your leads, the relationships that you have, and then the business to business relationships. Do you want to just kind of talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah. So I'm in a business networking international group, and it's I got to roll it all the way back to when Mario joined Keller Willians. He sat up in front of the old office. He came to one of our sales meetings and he talked about pillars of his business. And I'd heard Mark and Greg and Doug talk about pillars of your business. You have the people you meet at open houses. You have, and they say it's a 3-legged stool, right? Pillars that you meet people at your open house. You have your sphere of influence, that's your family and friends, and then you have business referrals or things that come in from attorneys. And Mario stood up and told the whole office that he wouldn't do any business with someone who didn't refer him business. And so he kind of created this little bubble, if you will, of partners, trusted partners that he works with exclusively and that they send him businesses. And I thought, that's what I want to build. And it took me another 1.5 to 2 years to actually get into this Business Networking International group. And the funny thing about that was Mario never used the words Business Networking International. I learned about it from a neighbor. And then I finally saw a chapter that had an opening for a real estate agent. So I just went to that meeting because I was like, okay, I want to go and find out what this is. And when I got there, they're like, are you the new Mario? And I'm like, what are you talking about? They were like, Mario was in our chapter. He just resigned, and that's why the position's open.
Weird.
I
like,
love
oh my gosh.
Full circle, huh?
Full circle. I was like, well, I wish Mario had just told me about the name, but he hadn't. But anyway, so for me, this in my group, it's 46 people, all other business professionals. Then there's a CPA and an estates attorney. There's a real estate attorney. There's financial planner, and we share leads. So I look out for people to refer to the other members of the chapter, and they look out for people to refer to me. And when you refer someone, so part of the scenario is you meet every single week for 1.5 hours, and people give presentations, and you talk and you rub elbows with all these people, pre-COVID times. And you basically you understand their business at a deeper level because you've heard about it, you talk with them, and you've worked on that relationship. So it becomes easier to spot someone to refer to them, right? And so as my first biggest concern was, will I have enough people to refer into the group? And after being there for 1.5 years, I'm like one of the top referrers. And it's partially because, you know, when you sell a house, you need 5 vendors, right? And
Right,
then
right.
of course, everyone that buys a house, especially new home buyers, need an estates attorney at some point. And that's something they should think about. And so it's easy to kind of, you know, lay that foundation and say, now that you bought your house,
Right.
maybe you need a CPA because you're got a, you know, your more complicated return. But B, you should also have an estate plan set up. And then it reflects well on you because you as a business, you're providing more than just real estate, right? You're providing all
Right.
these other services and
Value.
information, connection. Yeah,
You're providing something of value. And
right.
I love that what you did was you took one of the 6 personal perspectives of successful agents, the E to P, going from entrepreneurial to purposeful, because you were intentional about building your business to business network. So good job on that, Colin.
Yeah, so I found that it was almost too hard to do it because I was already in production, right? So if you're just starting out and you have time, you should be trying to find other business partners to partner with. Because once you get into selling houses and you're managing an escrow and putting out the fire, it gets so much harder to go and call 20 estates attorneys to find out which one would partner, right? 'Cause
Right.
19 of them aren't even going to take the phone call. So anyway, I feel very fortunate that I got a chance to get into a group.
You are fortunate. They're very hard to get into. So I'm really glad to hear that you got in and it sounds like it's been successful for you. Joel, do you have anything about you know, where you're cultivating your leads or your database?
Yep. So I also was in a BNI group, such as Colin has mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
We created our own, and it just became very cumbersome to manage after a while, and we just expelled it. We just stopped it. We had 14 people in it, and we're building it. We're building a brand. There's some successful ones out there, but like Colin said, it's a lot of work to network with these people, and if you have deals going on, it just takes a lot of your day and your time out of it. So it is a very good pillar of business if you have it going and it's a well-run machine. So what I would recommend doing is to go out and call estate attorneys, planners, CPAs, people that do real estate transactions that can refer you deals and you can refer them deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a mutual thing, right? It's not a one-way street. This can go all the way to lenders too, right? So you have good lenders. Your lenders should be throwing you deals. You should be throwing your lender deal. Should be reciprocated on every level. So you don't need to have a structured BNI like Colin has. You can actually go out and make your own vendors out there and network with them. If you're throwing people business, you should be getting business back from them. And if you're not, you should move on to someone else. Right.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Joel's absolutely right. Yeah, and you should be purposeful about setting that expectation, right?
Yep.
That's one of the things that it's really key to that. Is tell them, hey, I'm giving you this person and you're going to get this business and I expect you to think of me later.
That's awesome. Thanks, you guys. Mark, you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Joel and Colin were saying. You know, a long time ago, Brian Buffini shared that, in fact, if you stop and think about it, we are all, once you're in a transaction, you're in a BNI.
Mm-hmm.
And what I started doing years ago was asking every single person in the transaction with a specific dialogue, for a referral. And the way it goes is to your escrow officer, Edith, I know you work with hundreds of great agents, but if you ever see a referral that you think would be a good fit for me and Jackie, I'd sure appreciate an introduction. Okay?
Nice.
And I say the same thing in my termite guy. I know you work with hundreds of agents that are great, but if you ever see anybody that would be a good fit for me and Jackie, we'd love a referral because, we send you so much business. We don't expect all your business, but when you see somebody that would be a good fit. And it plants the seed. And in fact, 9 times out of 10, you're the only agent asking these folks for business. So we've made a lot of contacts and gotten a lot of referrals from our immediate sphere, our painter, our house cleaner, our title officer, our loan officers, etc. So you can always add that too if you don't already have a BNI.
That is such an awesome tip. Thank you, Mark. So
You're welcome.
we've got a few minutes before we complete this. And does anybody have any questions for Colin or Joel?
I do. It's Susanna.
Hi, Susanna. Go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I just want to start off by saying that when I first started with Keller Williams, I sat in a class and Mark Miano was there. And he said exactly the same thing. So I took on that strategy, put it in place, and my new listing that I just put on Tuesday came from a title officer. So yeah, and you know how many realtors they know, and they actually chose me just because I use that same script that Mark uses.
That's
so
awesome.
Good job, Susanna.
Yeah. Thank you. The other thing I wanted to say was I actually have a couple of questions for Joel and Colin and Mark too, if you have any feedback. So obviously, when I do, I was open house queen, right? Like 95% of my business was coming from open houses. Obviously, we can't do that now, so I'm getting super, super creative on how I market property and even with my buyers. And so my question is, I use Open Home Pro. So I have tons of contacts that I've met that really actually liked me. I like them. Some of them had agents, so I'll be deleting those. But now I'm going back to these CSV files, and I want to touch them again because when I got so busy, I wasn't putting them on any campaigns. I didn't put them into my database, and now I'm really working on my business and honing down on all those systems, putting them all in place, and really kind of starting over, like I feel with my systemization and programs. So my question is like, I was going to reach out to these Open Home Pro leads. Some of them are a year old, less than a year old. Some of them are like 2 years old. Again, some people, they're looking, maybe they haven't purchased property, maybe they haven't sold. I was going to do a bomb video just to say, hey, I remember meeting you at an open house. You really made an impression. Just wanted to make sure you were okay. You didn't need anything. Anybody have any other ideas in terms of scripting and what you would say?
So Joel and Colin, we have about 1 minute to address that.
I would start by characterizing what's going on with the current activity, right? So I would use Greg Simpson's slide from the sales meeting that was specifically from March 16th to today, what has happened in the real estate market. And I would talk to that and just sound like you're in touch with all the stats and that you've got your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the market. There is some disruption, but there are homes selling and there are homes getting listed. So
that's awesome.
Communicate that kind of.
That's great.
Thank you, Colin. Now, Joel, do you want to real briefly respond?
Yeah, these are people that, maybe they haven't heard from you for a while. So maybe you want to touch base with them, just ask them personal questions, how they're doing at this time. Because it's, people obviously have a lot of questions and fears right now. So connecting with them is important as well, right? Tell them the stats, tell them what's happening, and show them that you care about them. You're really good at that, Susanna, so I'm not worried about it.
That's so awesome.
Awesome.
Joel and Colin, thank you so much for being, our panelists today and sharing your tips and your words of wisdom on how to convert a lead and get people into contract, and everybody else. And Mark Miano, thank you so much for your words of wisdom too. Everybody, thank you for joining us today. On Tuesday, we have shift tactic number 6, and that is catch people in your web. It's the internet lead generation, and we have Therese Ferrara and Ian Batra are our panelists. So Colin, Joel, thank you very much. Everybody go out there, call your database, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you,
guys. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Edith.
Thank you. This is awesome.
Bye.
Thank you, Edith. Bye-bye. Thank you.